Hello, Sean Poe here, and welcome to the next part of our LifeVantage Compensation Plan series. As with the other parts of this series, we will be using the compensation plan highlights to discuss this portion of the pay plan. If you don't already have it, you can find it at LifeVantage.com. Scroll down to the bottom and click on the compensation plan highlights link as shown on the screen on the left. That will bring you the one-page PDF summary you see on the right. This video will give you a look at the royalty commission portion of our pay structure, which is a dynamically compressed Unilevel for those of you versed in the various types of network marketing pay plans. This is just one of several ways you get paid at LifeVantage. Don't worry though if you don't understand what that means. We will go over requirements for each level and each rank to give you a clear understanding of how you get paid through royalty commissions. The royalty commission is your long-term leveraged income opportunity. Simply put, these are commissions earned from recurring product sales within your organization. LifeVantage pays up to 43% on each product purchase within your organization. There are two different ranks in LifeVantage: your permanent or highest achieved rank, which is used primarily for recognition purposes, and your paid as rank, which can change month to month depending on where your volume and balances end. The ranks in LifeVantage go from Pro 1 to Presidential Master Pro 10. The paid as rank dictates how many levels down you can earn commission. PV, or personal volume, is required at each rank. Personal volume is derived from your personal product purchases, what you order on a monthly basis, and you must have a minimum of 40 PV or the equivalent of a bottle of Protanum NRF2. Everyone should be on the Vitality Stack though, right? So you'll have well above 40. This also indicates purchases made by all your personally enrolled customers. Notice the ranks of Pro 1 through 3 only require 100 PV to achieve that rank, while Pro 4 through 10 require 200. Keep in mind, however, that previously discussed portions of the compensation plan require 200 PV, so I suggest from the beginning, plan to have 200 total PV to maximize the compensation plan. OV, or organizational volume, is the total commissionable volume of all products consumed or sold by you and your entire downline organization. Pro 1 needs 1,000 organizational volume, while Pro 4 needs 10,000. Pro 7 needs 100,000 in OV, and Master Pro 10 is 1 million in monthly organizational volume. Minimum leg requirement is the amount of distinct and separate lines of business in your organization. Pro 1 only requires 1 leg, Pro 2 through 4 requires 2, and Pro 5 through 10 requires 3. We'll cover examples of this after we look at maximum percent per leg. Maximum percent per leg is the amount of volume you can take from various legs in your organization. Now let's look at some examples of this. Let's start with creating 1 leg for Pro 1. In this example, you recruited Ann as a distributor. Ann is on your first level and has created 1 leg in your organization. Ann goes out and enrolls some PCs and distributors of her own. The commissionable volume from each order rolls up through this leg to you. If the total OV, or organizational volume, is above 1,000, you would be at least a Pro 1. Notice the maximum percent per leg for Pro 1 is 100%. This simply means you can take 100% of the commissionable volume from any 1 leg to reach the 1,000 organizational volume needed for Pro 1. Now let's see how it differs for Pro 2. Pro 2 requires 2 legs and the maximum per leg is 80% and 20%. What does this mean? So you're still sharing LifeVantage with your network and enroll a new distributor, Bob. Since Bob is a directly enrolled distributor to you, Bob starts a new leg in your business. Each distributor you enroll and is frontline to you or on your first level creates a new leg. All the business generated under that distributor rolls up to you and adds to your OV. So what does the 80-20 max per leg really mean? 80% of the total requirement for Pro 2 can come from 1 leg. The total volume requirement to hit Pro 2 is 2,500. 80% of 2,500 is 2,000 and is the max you can take from any 1 leg. 20% of 2,500 is 500. This is the amount that must come from anywhere outside your strongest leg, which is simply your leg with the most volume. So Ann can contribute up to 2,000 from their leg towards you qualifying for Pro 2. The other 20%, or 500 in volume, must come from outside of Ann. Or Bob could contribute up to 2,000 from their leg towards you qualifying for Pro 2, and the other 20%, or 500 in volume, must come from outside of Bob. So let's put in some actual numbers to these legs. With these volumes coming from your two legs, do you qualify for Pro 2? Let's see. The maximum you can take from one leg is 80% of 2,500 for Pro 2, which we determined earlier as 2,000. So in this situation, Ann's leg is generating 3,500 of volume. So you can only use 2,000 of the 3,500 to qualify for Pro 2. Bob's leg only has 100 in volume, and your personal PCs in your personal order add another 200 in volume. So 2,000 from Ann, 200 from you and your PCs, and 100 from Bob only add up to 2,300. You're unbalanced and need an additional 200 to come in from outside of your strongest leg, Ann. Now if Bob's leg grew to 1,000, your volume for Pro 2 would be 3,200. Ann's leg maxes out at 2,000, 1,000 from Bob's leg, and 200 from your personal PCs in your personal order. You are now qualified as a Pro 2. Pro 3 and Pro 4 have the same 80-20 leg requirement, but different amounts of volume needed. With Pro 3, the max you can take from your strongest leg is 80% of 5,000 or 4,000. And the max you can take from your strongest leg for Pro 4 is 80% of 10,000 or 8,000. The remaining 20% in both examples must come from outside legs, as you saw with the example of Bob and Ann for Pro 2. The rank of Pro 5 moves to a 3-leg requirement of 60-30-10, so the most that you can take from your strongest leg is 60% of 20,000 or 12,000. If you max out your strongest leg, the most that can come from your second strongest leg is 6,000. And you need to have at least 10% or 2,000 outside of your two strongest legs, and that can come from you, your personally enrolled PCs, and any other distributor outside your two strongest. Let's look at some actual numbers with these three distributors. Here you see Ann is your strongest leg with 12,000 in commissionable volume. Bob is your second strongest leg with 6,000. Carl is outside volume since he is not your strongest or second strongest leg, and the same with your 1,000 in volume from your orders and volume from your personally enrolled PCs. Ann is within the requirement of 60% of 20,000 at 12,000 in volume, so you can use all her volume. Bob's 6,000 is fine as well, and your outside volume is at least 10% of 20,000 or 2,000 since you have 1,000 in volume and Carl has 1,000. This is a balanced Pro 5 business. Let's look at one unbalanced situation at Pro 5. Here you see Ann is again your strongest leg with 16,000 in commissionable volume. Bob is your second strongest leg with 2,000. Carl is outside volume since he is not your strongest or second strongest leg, and the same with your 1,000 in volume from your orders and volume from your personally enrolled PCs. Now Ann is not within the requirement of 60% of 20,000 or 12,000 in volume, so you cannot use all her 16,000 in volume. You can only use up to the max 12,000 from your strongest leg, so 4,000 of her volume is not usable for the rank of Pro 5. Bob's 2,000 is fine, and your volume is at least 10% of 20,000 or 2,000 since you have 1,000 in volume and Carl has 1,000. But 12,000 from Anna, 2,000 from Bob, 1,000 from Carl, and your 1,000 only equals 16,000. You need an additional 4,000 in commissionable volume to come from anywhere from outside of Ann's leg to become a balanced Pro 5. Pro 5 through Pro 9 all have the same 60-30-10 leg requirements. Here you can see the max you can take from the strongest leg at each level from 5 to 9. At Pro 5, as you just saw in the examples, 12,000 is the max, 30,000 is the max for Pro 6, 60,000 for Pro 7, 150,000 for Pro 8, and 300,000 can come from your strongest leg for Pro 9. Last, we'll discuss the Unilevel portion or depth you get paid. When your personally enrolled distributors bring in PCs and distributors of their own, and those distributors bring in their own PCs and distributors, and so on, depth starts to be created in your organization. So first let's talk about the levels, and remember, this is different than the ranks Pro 1 through 10 at the top of the chart. Don't confuse the two. They mean two very different things. These levels simply mean where a downline distributor or customer is positioned in relation to you. As you see here, the top person is labeled as you. Anyone you directly enroll as a PC or distributor is on your first level. Your business is one level deep. We build the business with our distributors on level 1 so they can find their own PCs and distributors. This group your directly enrolled distributors bring in are on your second level. Through the system and duplication, we help this group enroll their own PCs and distributors, creating a third level from you. Your business is now 3 levels deep. This continues on as long as that leg continues to recruit and build new depth. But how do you know how deep you'll get paid? Let's look at the first 3 ranks, Pro 1 to Pro 3. Remember, each distributor in your downline sits on a specific level. If you directly recruited them, they are on your first level. The people your directs recruit are on your second level. Now look at Pro 1. Being a paid as Pro 1 qualifies you to get paid 2 levels down. You get 2% of the total commissionable volume of everyone on your first level, and 5% of the commissionable volume for everyone on your second level. Pro 2 pays 4 levels of depth, as you can see on the screen. Again, 2% of the commissionable volume on level 1, 5% of level 2, 9% on everything of level 3, and 5% of your level 4. Now Pro 3 pays 5 levels of depth. Again, 2% of the commissionable volume on level 1, 5% of level 2, 9% of everything on level 3, 5% of your level 4, and 5% of your 5th level. So let's bring this back to the chart on the one-page compensation plan summary. Notice Pro 1 pays to the second level of depth, Pro 2 pays to the 4th level, and Pro 3 pays 5 levels deep. Paid as Pro 4s get paid 6 levels deep, Pro 5 7 levels, Pro 6 is 8 levels, and Pro 7 through 10 all get paid 9 levels of depth into their organization. We'll have a separate training on dynamic compression, but now you have the basics of the royalty portion of the compensation plan. Alright, that wraps up our training on the royalty commission. Be sure to watch the next video in our LifeVantage Compensation Plan series, and be sure to subscribe to our channel, Sean and Michelle Poe, so you'll be updated when new trainings come out.